It is spring, late March, so that means we can sow our cold tolerant vegetables. I'm in zone 5B, 6A, and so I will be planting out my hardy veggies. So first up is black-seeded Simpson lettuce. It is a very cold tolerant. It will germinate in very low temperatures and can survive temperatures down to about 15 to 20 degrees Fahrenheit. So I'm just going to sprinkle just a few seeds, not a lot, because I'm doing succession sowing of lettuce a little bit at a time. And so this top tier will be lettuce. I'll sprinkle that in, cover it up. Now in my zone, zone 5B, 6A, March is typically very warm days. We're talking 50s and 60s, and the nights could be freezing. So I want to make sure that all of my plants can germinate in temperatures as low as 40 degrees, 40-degree soil temperature, and can survive air temperatures at about 15 to 20 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, now that we have our black-seeded Simpson lettuce ready, let's move on to turnips. I'm also going to be planting some purple top turnips. These can germinate in low soil temperatures as low as 40 to 55 degrees. Now, it can tolerate air temperatures even lower. It can tolerate air temperatures down to 20 to 15 degrees Fahrenheit. So I'm just going to sow a few seeds, and these are extremely tiny. And I'm just going to try to finish off this packet. So I do plan on thinning these. And so these, because of the size, these should be sown at a 1/2 inch, they say. I would not sow them quite that deep though. So I'm actually going to use a little divoter, make little divots, and try to get 3 in the pocket to start with. But it's so tiny, it's hard to control how many you actually put in. And then we're just going to cover it over, pat it down, and on to the next pocket. So I definitely plan on thinning these as they come up so that there's only 1 radish per pocket. Now, if you're growing it for the leaves, crowd them in. But early spring, I grow them for the root. So I'm going to leave 1 per pocket. Turnip seeds are so small, they are easily displaced with watering. So I'm going to put these seed houses in place so that when it rains, they're not displaced with rainfall. Now that that's done, let's go plant some spinach and some radish. Okay, now, like my other planter, this planter has received some compost and also some fertilizer, so I'll be planting out the Bloomsdale long-standing spinach. Now, if you have not planted out your spinach, you have to get moving, because spinach absolutely does not like warm soil temperatures, nor does it like warm air temperatures. So you want to plant it as soon as your soil is workable. Even if it's snowing, even if you see frost, still get those seeds out. So I made little divots with my finger. The packet says that it should be sowed about a 1/2 inch. And so I'm just going to put, well, we'll put 2 per hole. I really should just put 1 per hole. I have no shortage of spinach. I'm actually going to put 2 or 3 per hole because spinach is notorious for poor germination. And part of that reputation is that people try to grow spinach at the wrong time of year. It likes to germinate in cool soil. So as soon as you can stick your finger in your soil and don't hit ice, you should be sowing your spinach. So we're going to put 2 per divot. Normally I would just empty out my package of spinach, but I found that that's too much spinach at one time. So I will be sowing spinach. So I'll do part this week, I'll wait 2 weeks and do the next part. And then in another 2 weeks, if it's not too warm, I will sow more. We're going to get a few over here as well. So I'll do half of this nicely spaced spinach, and I'm going to save that little strip in the middle for radishes. I actually kind of want to finish this packet off because there's nothing worse or more frustrating than old spinach seeds. And that's why I tend to just dump the whole package out, because it doesn't make sense to save spinach seeds year after year, because when they get old, they just don't germinate. A lot like onions. When it's old, it just doesn't germinate. So you might as well just use them. Okay, and we will cover these over. So that's the spinach. And this is a self-watering raised bed, so I don't have to worry about keeping the seeds moist. Now, one helpful hint about spinach: because it is a large seed and it's a hard seed, when it germinates, the seed heads stay on the top, and the birds will absolutely chew the seeds head off and bite off the top of your spinach. So it's always a good idea to put netting on your spinach until it gets up to size. So next we are going to do some radishes. Radishes also germinate in soil temperatures as low as 45 degrees. And if you're wondering, how do I know this off the top of my head? Well, when I come out, I bring my garden journal, the Easy Garden Guide and Journal, and I have recorded soil temperatures. So if you're interested, this reference spacing, it references soil temperatures, and it's a great resource to take outside with you. So I actually reference germination soil temperatures, so I always know when to plant. Now let's plant this radishes. So I'm just going to draw a line in the soil. I'll do my fingers, it's a neater line. Okay. And this is definitely a packet I want to use up. It is also a large seed, so it should be sown at, oh, it's not much in here. And that's why I wanted to make sure I empty out these packages, to keep better track of inventory. And I will be succession sowing my radish seeds. I'm going to actually try to space these. Why not? There's no reason why I should not be able to space these properly. And these aren't old seeds, it's just I used a lot of them. So I just want to be done with the packet. Okay, and we'll just make sure we got a 1/2 inch on all of the seeds here, that we have good spacing. Because, I mean, how many radishes can you eat at a time? So radishes is another thing that I'll be sowing every week, so that I can harvest every week. Okay, so we're done with the radishes. Now let's go plant some sugar snap peas. Now this is a fertile bed, but I did decide just to add a little fertilizer in this bed, because there's compost here, but I want to make sure that my peas get off to a good start. Now, if I'm planting beans, I always use a bean booster to put bacteria into the soil so that the beans are able to fix nitrogen. Now, because I use various compost, topsoil, real heavy on organic material, I'm not going to inoculate these peas. I'm just going to plant them. And so the package recommends planting them. So the package recommends planting at a 1/2 inch. You notice everything's a 1/2 inch, although they're very different in size today. So we're going to sow them at a 1/2 inch. And I would prefer to put them at a full inch, but it says a 1/2 inch. So some will be a 1/2 inch and some will be a full inch. And the spacing is 2 inches apart. So they're huge seeds. So I'm just gonna put them on the soil and press them down with my finger. And it's close enough to the trellis that I can train them to go up the trellis. And I'm definitely getting them 2 inches apart, and I'm just doing the perimeter of this bed. I don't want to get too far away from the trellis because they're definitely climbers, but close enough. Okay, so now I'm going to push them in. Okay, so you can see where I have them. Just push them in, cover them up. Push them in and cover them up. And then all of my seeds today will get watered in really, really well. And we are officially starting the growing season. I'm so excited. Okay, so everything was sowed into moist soil, and then I'm going to follow up with additional water. Add my tag in. So I've recorded everything here in my journal today. And so it's been a great day of sowing seeds, first day of spring. So we have lettuce, radish, sugar snap peas, spinach, and turnips. So if anything was helpful today or encouraging, please hit that like button, subscribe, and share with a friend. And let me know, what have you planted for the first day of spring? Have an amazing day.